Do you think so?
Yes.
Okay. So what might happen next? Can you give me a guess? What may happen next? Yes?
I think the mouse knows that when he hears that, he identifies that with the voice of the prey as predator, so he'll stay away from whatever's producing that sound.
Okay. Yeah. So one possibility is that the mouse said, okay, I know who you are, so I stay away from whoever speaks that language. Okay? Yep. And what are the possibilities? What might happen next? What might happen next?
The cat will try to learn English.
Oh, I think maybe the cat will try to learn English. Yes? And with the hope that the rat doesn't know.
Right.
Okay? Yes, and how about others? What might happen next? Just tell me. Imagine. What might happen next?
We'll learn.
The mouse there will also learn English. Wow, okay, so now as I said, there could be so many possibilities here. Right? And how do you predict what, about the relationship between the mouse and the cat here? What might happen between them? Friends? Yes, you say, yeah, they might well be friends. Or? Yes, or they may become lovers, who knows, right? We don't know. As I said, I don't know either. Okay. And in the worst case, what might happen? The mouse get finished, right? Yes. In the worst case, when we will only have just the cat and the mouse will be finished. Okay, so let's see what happened. We need to go to the next. Right. Now, as I said, there are so many possibilities, but but I will give you just one possibility. Of course, I know that there are other possibilities, right? So in this, on the screen, so what happened now? Could you tell me what happened now?
The dog just, used to be a cat before, and then suddenly he used another language by barking like a dog.
Like a dog, right? Okay, thank you. So it looks now that the cat is using the dog's language. Right. And what is the impact of that? How does it affect the mouse? What happens to the mouse? It's curious, right? At least the mouse is curious. So what is going on? What is happening here? And what is the mouse doing? He starts to come out, or at least he wants to come out and see what's happening outside. Right? Okay, so as I said, there are so many possibilities, but I just give you maybe the worst scenario. Okay, yeah. And that is, okay, right? So we will know that. So what happened is that the mouse is eaten, right? And the cat now feels so good and satisfied because it knows how to speak a foreign language. Okay, so now in this case, if you try to, I just give you some sort of cartoon, so it would relate it to English, right? Because my point is that, okay, if we just look at English as a language of communication or as a language that everyone can benefit from, and then the possibility could be like, we could be friends, or and as some of you said, we could be lovers. But in many cases, it's not as simple as that. English could make people enemies, right? And like what happened here. So what I would like you perhaps to think, maybe you don't have to think now, but maybe consider what might happen in other parts of the world when, for example, when people don't really want to learn English, but they have to learn English because it was a language during the colonial time, and because it is a language that is used by maybe by the policy makers or by the government to give a power to a certain group of people in the country. Yeah, or for example, people often talk about India as an English-speaking country or using English as a second language. But it is not true that everyone in India has access to English. And it has been observed that English in India has been used, as a gatekeeper, really to maintain power for the middle class, but really to make the lower class of India stay away from power, stay away from having a good job and having a better future. So in that case, we can see that English is not always a good thing. Or actually, it is a good thing, but it is manipulated. And actually, people can use English for different purposes, not always positive or good purposes. So that is also something that I would like you to consider, right? So English is not always good, actually. And also, I don't know what happens here in the Philippines, but in many countries, when you apply for a job, they always ask you for two things: English and computer certificate, right? It looks like without English or without your computer skill, there is no way you can get a job. So in that case, English becomes something like, it's a must for everyone. But in reality, you might not need English that much. But it is there, something, as I said, as a gatekeeper, that could keep many people out of the system and let many people in, as long as you have English. Or for example, in China, for many, many years, all universities, students in China, they can't get their qualification, their degrees, university degrees, if they don't pass the English exams after 4 years of education in China. So that is called the CET, that is called the college English test in China. So that means, but why students in China have to pass English to get their degree? It is not relevant. For example, if you major in English, and that's okay, but if you major in engineering, in other disciplines, and you can be excellent in your majors, but still you don't get your qualification because you don't pass English examination. So in that sense, it's just not relevant. So, and because of that, there have been many sad stories in China with students in China because they get so depressed. And some students, they have to repeat the English exam for several times before they can actually graduate. And there are students who commit suicide just because of that. So if we talk about it, or if we look at English in that sense, it's not always a happy story. Yep. So I know that if we talk about, because now for me, before I read or before I did a lot of research in this area, I had a I think I tended to have one way, one kind of, I have one-sided look at English. I only see English as always good. And I see English as opportunities, and I see English as bringing me, further education in another country, and I see English as bridging the gaps between the rich and the poor, and I see English as bringing everyone together. But in reality, it's not always the case. And also, as I said, if we look at it more from a political perspective, you may find that it's not that easy. And so some of you here, maybe after you graduate, you could be excellent in your major. But perhaps English could stop you at some point. It could excel you, but it could also